First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
And hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Appreciate you joining us. I say it every time, and I mean it every time. So right now, we're going to take a look at actually an interview that we did from a couple of months ago, but I think it's something very relevant right now, specifically after everything we've all gone through over these last couple of weeks with the weather, with so much happening there and so many services that were needed. And it's also important to know there are places you can call to get information without calling emergency sources. Obviously, emergency management services, things like 911, can get heavily taxed during this time, and you want to make sure that those are just being used for that specific purpose, for something where you're in real trouble. In Portland, the Multnomah County, at least part of Portland, there is something called 311, and this is a service that you can call to get information and access to local governmental services really easily. They have somebody who answers the phone. They can get you through to a lot of different departments, and sometimes even places where you would normally be on hold for a while, they can cut through that line for you. And so I still think a lot of people don't quite know what that is or follow along or understand exactly what it is. So that's why I wanted to bring this back up again. This is my interview with one of the people from 311 to talk about the services, talk about what they do and what you can do through it and how it all works. So we're going to go through this again here. We're going to play it right now. Let's go ahead and bring this up.
Well, Greg, thank you for having me on. 311 is a phone number that community members located in Multnomah County can call to access local government services and to report problems. If you call 311 anytime between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m., you'll reach a friendly and knowledgeable 311 employee who can answer your questions, help you register for government services and programs, and take reports about many common issues. And if we can't help, we can connect you to someone who can.
So when somebody does call that, I guess just to go through each one of those, so there is an actual person that's going to answer.
That's correct. And we actually answer virtually all of our calls within 20 to 30 seconds. So you can talk to somebody quickly.
And you mentioned, okay, going through to talk to local government services or even ask questions. Can we dig into that a little more? Because that seems really broad for questions that people might have. So when we talk about that, what kind of services, I guess, are you addressing in that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And it's incredibly broad. So we can answer questions about anything related to the city of Portland or Multnomah County, and increasingly about other jurisdictions like the city of Gresham, Troutdale, Wood Village. And you can think, anything from, hey, I see a traffic hazard or a problem with a street sign or a pothole, to questions about parks and recreation. Even, hey, is my library open today? We get questions about things ranging from parking at the zoo to reporting illegal campsites. So really the whole gamut of services you expect from your government.
And all of that is something that you call and you will get an answer to that or referred to another organization?
Correct. We are increasingly able to answer questions or take reports on that first call. But if we can't, then we can connect you to someone who can help you, and you'll kind of avoid getting stuck in the maze of government.
Which that's certainly something I think everybody who's tried to make a phone call before has experienced that type of thing. So going in there, say somebody calls and they want to make a report about, we'll just use graffiti for an example, for this part. So they want to call in, they want to report graffiti that's on the side of their building. Can they file that report, or do they just let you know about it and then somebody comes out? Like, what's the process there?
Yeah, so graffiti, I'm going to speak specifically within the city of Portland. If you were to call 311, we could take that report directly, or if it's something that you want to know how to do yourself, we could point you to how to do that online. That would kick off either assistance to get that cleaned up, if that's if the graffiti is in a place that the city can clean it up, or the possibility of sending out a cleanup kit, depending on the preference of the business.
So all of that could be resolved through that phone call.
Yeah.
Just clarifying exactly what you just said, which is pretty. I mean, it sounds pretty great. The idea that you'd be able to do that. So I guess for the service, like, how many people do you have working for 311 that you're able to answer all these phone calls?
So we have 23 staff members, as well as some additional staff who work on improving customer service across the city of Portland. So you gave that example of graffiti. We actually worked very closely with the graffiti program to make it easier for community members to report that issue. We also have a community outreach staff who's really working on getting the word out across Multnomah County that we exist and we're here to serve the community.
Something you did mention about the homeless, camps or homeless things on sidewalks, things like that. So let's, I guess, just ask this from the base level. November 13th is when the city of Portland is supposed to be cleaning up some of the camps, or people will not be allowed to camp during the day in some of these locations. Is that something that you would call 311 for?
Yes. So assuming that, and we can talk a little bit about when to call 911 versus 311.
Yes.
But assuming that there isn't anything life-threatening going on, calling 311 is really your best course of action. We will take that report, get it over to the teams that work on campsite issues and kind of trigger the process for assessing those campsites and potentially posting and removing them. That program works very closely with Portland Police and other city and county programs, and we can kind of get your report into that pipeline.
So that's going to be something that everybody can utilize then?
Correct.
And that's a big one. That's a big one, I think, for a lot of people to understand how that works. And you mentioned the difference between 911, 311, 211. Can we go into that? Like, what are the different scenarios or situations that each one of those is for? Yeah,
so let's start by talking about those three numbers you just mentioned, kind of the big three: 911, 311, 211. You should call 911 if you need immediate assistance for a life-threatening emergency. So that's things like medical emergencies, fires, criminal activity that's in progress, like a burglary or an assault, or a traffic crash where somebody's injured. 311 can be your first call for pretty much anything that relates to government. So we talked about roads, transportation, even things like garbage and sewer, health services, housing, local taxes, even if you want to get a job working for local government. And then 211 is a great resource for community and social services that help with things like food and utility assistance, emergency housing, and childcare. Now, in Multnomah County, we also have what's commonly referred to as the non-emergency line. This is 503-823-3333. What most people don't realize is that that number is answered by 911 call takers. And if you think about 911 call takers, they're the folks who are sending out police officers, firefighters, and medical assistants. So that non-emergency line is for public safety issues that require a police officer or a firefighter to respond, but maybe not right now. You can wait a little bit. So that number is really for things like if you got up in the morning, went to work, to your business, and realized it had been burglarized the night before, or you woke up and your car was stolen. Things where you need a police officer or a firefighter, but it's not an emergency. For most other non-emergency issues, 311 is really the place to call.
That's great to know. So I have a question just from a personal example. Say someone has a driveway where frequently cars will be stolen and abandoned, blocking their driveway. So you can't get out, and then you have to get a hold of a tow truck. Sometimes call local. The non-emergency is usually the route that I've gone on that. Would 311 be the place to call for this?
Yeah, so 311 would be a great resource to call, and we could either get that reported as an abandoned vehicle or to parking enforcement if it's really blocking your driveway to get it addressed.
That is great to know. So looking at 311, I guess, so how long has it been going, and what have the results been so far?
Yeah, so we officially started the 311 program in 2019, although the city of Portland had an information and referral line going back decades before that. We have seen a huge growth in the number of community members contacting us since then. We're up about 60% over the past few years and have about 150,000 people contacting us every year. To put that in perspective, that's somewhere around 700 people a day. By phone, you can also contact us by email at 311@portlandoregon.gov. And we've really been trying to get the word out to community members who speak Spanish, Russian, Vietnamese, Chinese, or any of the other languages spoken in our area. So we're seeing an increase in those community members contacting us as well.
And I was just taking a look here at this as well, something this is on the website,
Yeah.
just explaining that a little bit more as far as some of the different ways that, different reasons to call the different numbers. So, and this is all at the website, like I was talking about. You mentioned these different ways you can get a hold. There's the phone call, but also email, and lots of ways to get a hold of that. And I noticed on one of your things here, it says our call takers can help in over 50 different languages that people can
Correct.
receive assistance in. That's
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
Yeah, and all we ask is if you need another language, just give us a call, say the language that you need in English, and just be patient with us for a minute or two, and we'll get someone connected to help interpret.
Looking at it going forward, I guess, how do you think this is something you mentioned expanding into cities like Gresham and some of the other actual cities around here within Multnomah County? Do you anticipate that to continue, that growth to go within all of Multnomah County, beyond that? How are you seeing it so far?
Yeah, so we certainly want to expand. The majority of the calls that we get currently relate to programs in the city of Portland or Multnomah County governments. But right now you can call us from anywhere in Multnomah County, and we likely have information and can help you get connected to the right place. We are working with leaders in the city of Gresham and other cities to make sure that we can better support their residents when they call. But even now, go ahead and give us a call. And then, as I mentioned before, we're also working broadly to try to improve customer service and to make it easier for community members to file reports, find information online, and just generally interact with their government.
And I'm just going to reiterate one more as well, because we are live, so I'm seeing some of the questions come through, and this seems to be one that people are asking the most. And I know you answered it, but just to answer it one more time. So when the camping ban does begin to be enforced on November 13th in the city of Portland, 311 will be the place to call for that.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. Just want to make sure so everybody's getting their questions answered. But Michelle, thank you very much. Is there anything else that you want to share about it, about the program in general, that you want people to know about?
Yeah, the only other thing I would add, you mentioned our website, portland.gov/311, and showed our handy magnet there. If you'd like to learn more about our program, or we could even send out materials to share, if you're part of a neighborhood group, a church group, anything that you think people might be interested, go ahead on our website and you can.
All right, sorry, I apologize. I cut that off there at the very end, but yes, checking all of that out, and that is certainly something important to know, and that's why we want to make sure that we brought that back out to you. So 311, pretty valuable source there if you're trying to get a hold of things. And as they mentioned, they're still looking for people who speak different languages, just so they can have somebody who's actually there to talk to anybody calling. So if you know somebody speaks Spanish, Russian, a number of different languages that they're looking for, Vietnamese, I know, go ahead and contact them as well. So, all right, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler, and appreciate all of you joining us and being a part of this. We do have our segments all up on whatever platform you're watching me on right now. You can go and take a look at all of our previous interviews. We cover a wide range of topics on this show. Good time to download the app if you have not done that, the Fox 12 Oregon app. It's on all your devices. Just search in the store. You'll pull it up and be able to download that. If you have been watching me today specifically, I was talking about having Travel Oregon on today, where it's a little bit of a scheduling issue, so that might not happen today, might be later this week, but we'll make sure that we get them on here soon. But in the meantime, I'll sign off for right now. If there's breaking news, this is also the place to come back to, so we will go live whenever that happens, anytime between 1 and 4 p.m. outside of our other newscasts. So this is always a reliable place to be. It's where we were during this entire storm, and which is thankfully over now, at least the storm side of it, and it's where we'll be though for anything else. So if you know there's breaking news happening, this is the place to be. We'll bring it to you, we'll alert you, we'll let you know about it. But that's it for right now. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.